What happens when a millionaire heiress strikes an 8-year-old child with her Bentley and tells Judge Frank Caprio, "I have money, this doesn't matter"? I'm about to show you the most devastating courtroom confrontation I've ever witnessed, where privilege meets absolute justice and Judge Caprio delivers a sentence so powerful it breaks the internet. This isn't just another hit-and-run case. This is how one moment of arrogance destroyed a family empire, and how Judge Caprio proved that some lines should never be crossed, regardless of your net worth. October 15th, Providence Municipal Court. Judge Frank Caprio sits behind his bench, unaware he's about to witness something that will test every principle he stood for during his 38-year career. The courtroom is packed with families, defendants, and viewers who travel from across New England to see justice served with compassion. The tension is already thick when the bailiff calls a case that looks routine on paper but carries an entire community's outrage. The state of Rhode Island versus Isabella Montgomery, charged with vehicular assault, leaving the scene involving serious bodily injury and reckless endangerment of a minor. Through those doors walks 34-year-old Isabella Montgomery, everything about her screaming entitled wealth. The Hermes handbag worth more than most monthly salaries, custom Chanel suit, diamond earrings catching fluorescent lights. Her Louboutin heels click with the confidence of someone never told no. And it's not the luxury creating tension, it's her attitude, checking her Rolex while walking, barely acknowledging court officers, treating them like furniture. She carries herself like someone who's never faced consequences. Isabella isn't just wealthy, she's Providence royalty. Her family built half downtown, their name on hospital wings and university buildings. The Montgomery Trust controls over $200 million. Isabella has never worked, spending days managing trust funds and attending charity galas. But 3 days ago changed everything. Judge Caprio reviews the disturbing case file, his expression growing darker with each page. At 3:45 p.m. Thursday afternoon, Isabella drove her 2024 Bentley Bentayga through Elmwood, a working-class neighborhood where children play on tree-lined streets and families know each other by name. She was speeding through a clearly marked school zone when 8-year-old Miguel Santos stepped into the crosswalk holding his 10-year-old sister Maria's hand. Miguel Santos, remember that name because this beautiful little boy with the gap-toothed smile and dreams of becoming a firefighter is the heart of this story. He's a second grader at Roger Williams Elementary, the youngest of 4 children in a family where love fills the gaps that money can't. His father, Carlos, works construction from dawn to dusk, then cleans office buildings until midnight. His mother, Maria, works as a home health aide for elderly patients, often pulling 14-hour shifts, her hands gentle and caring despite their calluses. The impact threw Miguel 15 feet through the air like a broken doll. The sound of the collision echoed off the nearby houses, bringing neighbors running from their porches. Broken ribs punctured his lung, a fractured skull left him unconscious and bleeding. Internal bleeding required emergency surgery, and his left arm was shattered so severely that doctors weren't sure he'd ever use it normally again. But here's what transforms this from tragic accident to unforgivable crime. Isabella stopped her Bentley. She got out, her designer heels stepping carefully around the pool of blood spreading beneath Miguel's small body. 3 witnesses watched her stand there for 30 seconds, looking down at the unconscious child, then calmly return to her vehicle and drive away, leaving an 8-year-old boy to die on the street. "Ms. Montgomery," Judge Caprio begins, his voice carrying familiar warmth but steel underneath. "You understand the charges?" Isabella barely looks up from her phone. "Yes, Your Honor, my attorney explained everything. We're hoping to resolve this quickly. I have a charity luncheon at noon." Complete silence. She wants to resolve this quickly because of lunch while a child fights for life in the hospital. Judge Caprio removes his glasses, his signature move. "Ms. Montgomery, are you aware Miguel Santos is currently in the ICU? Isabella's jaw tightens. "Yes, I understand there was an accident, but the child ran into the street. I couldn't stop. These things happen in neighborhoods like that." The traffic camera footage begins playing, and what unfolds silences the courtroom. Isabella's white Bentley approaches at dangerous speed. Miguel, in his bright red backpack, holds his sister Maria's hand, waiting for the walk signal. Mrs. Rodriguez raises her stop sign, light changes. Children cross. Miguel steps into the crosswalk exactly where he should be. Isabella's Bentley doesn't brake. The impact launches Miguel through the air while his sister screams. Mrs. Rodriguez runs toward the motionless child. Other children scatter in terror. Isabella exits her vehicle, walks around inspecting her bumper with more concern than for the bleeding child 10 feet away. For 30 seconds she stands looking down at Miguel's unconscious form, blood pooling beneath his head. Then, without calling help, without checking if he's breathing, she returns to her car and drives away. Miss Montgomery, Judge Caprio's voice controlled but furious underneath, you watched yourself strike a child and leave him to die. Comments? Isabella looks annoyed. Your Honor, I was in shock. I panicked. I've never been in an accident before. The camera shows you standing 30 seconds, clearly assessing, then consciously deciding to leave. This is where Isabella destroys herself. Her false concern mask slips, revealing entitled monster underneath. Look, Your Honor, Isabella says impatiently. I understand this looks bad, but let's be realistic. My insurance covers medical bills. I'm prepared to write a check now for additional expenses. The Montgomery family has been generous to this city for generations. One mistake shouldn't overshadow lifetime philanthropy. Judge Caprio's face hardens. Ms. Montgomery, you're treating a child's life like a business transaction. Isabella scoffs. Because that's what it is, Your Honor. Everything is. I have money. This family needs money. $500,000. That's more than most people in that neighborhood see in lifetimes. The courtroom erupts, gasps, angry murmurs, someone shouting, unbelievable. Judge Caprio raises his hand for silence, eyes never leaving Isabella's face. Ms. Montgomery, did you just offer to buy your way out of criminal charges for nearly killing a child? From the gallery comes a quiet voice. Your Honor, may I speak? Carlos Santos, Miguel's father, stands wearing construction clothes, hands calloused from years of labor. He looks directly at Isabella. Ma'am, you hit my son, left him to die. Now you think you can buy us? My son is 8, loves soccer, wants to be a firefighter to save people. He's in the hospital with tubes in his chest because you couldn't slow down. You think 500,000 is a lot? My family could live on that 20 years, but I wouldn't take 5 million. Taking your money means my son's life has a price. His life is priceless. Thunderous applause erupts. Judge Caprio lets Carlos receive deserved recognition. Ms. Montgomery, you heard from a man who works 3 jobs, whose son fights for life because of you. A man who refused more money than he's ever seen because principles matter more than your guilt money. What do you say? Isabella's composure cracks. This is ridiculous. I made a good faith offer. I'm trying to help and they're acting like I'm the villain. I didn't mean to hit anyone. It was an accident. Judge Caprio opens the expanded file. Ms. Montgomery, in 5 years you've received 12 speeding tickets, all in school zones, all paid immediately through your attorney without appearing in court. You've been driving like laws don't apply to you for years. The prosecutor adds, 3 years ago, Newport, Ms. Montgomery struck a cyclist and fled. Settled out of court. The cyclist suffered permanent nerve damage. You've done this before, Judge Caprio thunders. That was different. Late night, improper lights. You have a pattern of striking people and fleeing. This isn't accident, Miss Montgomery. This is who you are. Isabella explodes, standing and pointing at Judge Caprio. I'm tired of this. Yes, I hit the kid. Yes, I left. So what? I have money. I can make this go away. My family has more influence than you do. We fund your salary. You work for us. The courtroom explodes. People are shouting, standing up. The bailiff steps forward. But Judge Caprio just sits there, letting Isabella's words hang in the air for everyone to hear. When the noise dies down, Judge Caprio speaks, and his voice is quiet, but carries the weight of absolute authority. Ms. Montgomery, you just told this court that you believe your wealth places you above the law. You just told a father whose child is fighting for his life that money can make attempted vehicular homicide go away. You just told me that your family's donations give you the right to endanger children. He stands up, and the entire courtroom holds its breath. You are wrong about all of it. Dead wrong. Judge Caprio picks up his gavel, but before he delivers sentence, he speaks directly to Isabella with words that will be remembered long after this case ends. Isabella Montgomery, you came into this courtroom believing your money made you untouchable. You tried to buy a child's life. You threatened this court. You showed contempt for a family whose only crime was being poor. Today you learn that some things cannot be purchased: justice, dignity, and the safety of our children. The sentence comes down like thunder. Guilty on all charges. 2 years in state prison, no parole, driver's license revoked permanently. $1 million in restitution to the Santos family. And here's the part that makes this case legendary. Judge Caprio orders Isabella to complete 2,000 hours of community service in the pediatric ward of Rhode Island Hospital, where she will see firsthand the consequences of her actions. But we're not done. Your family's charitable foundation will establish a fund for traffic safety education in every Providence school. Your Bentley will be sold, and the proceeds will go to trauma counseling for the children who witnessed this accident. Isabella tries to speak, but Judge Caprio isn't finished. Furthermore, you will attend every one of Miguel Santos's medical appointments until he's fully recovered. You will see what your 30 seconds of convenience cost an 8-year-old boy and his family. As Isabella is led away in handcuffs, Carlos Santos approaches Judge Caprio. Your Honor, he says quietly, thank you for showing my son that rich or poor, we all matter the same under God's law. Judge Caprio nods, visibly moved. Mr. Santos, your son is blessed to have a father who values dignity over dollars. Miguel will recover, and he'll grow up knowing justice exists for everyone. 6 months later, Miguel returned to school, fully recovered, except for a small scar his classmates think makes him look like a superhero. Isabella completed her first year in prison, learning humility and empathy she'd never needed before. The Montgomery Trust established a $5 million traffic safety fund. Carlos used restitution money to purchase a safe home and start a scholarship fund for working-class students. Judge Frank Caprio's handling became a global phenomenon, viewed over 100 million times, because it proved something the world needed to see. Justice is truly blind. Compassion doesn't mean weakness when protecting the innocent, and some judges will always choose children over checkbooks. This is what happens when entitlement meets absolute justice. This is what happens when someone finally says no to wealth without conscience. This is Isabella Montgomery's story, and it's a reminder that in Judge Caprio's courtroom, and in courtrooms everywhere that still believe in fairness, your bank account is no defense against the truth. Hit that subscribe button if you believe our children deserve protection from people who think money makes them above the law. And remember, the next time you're tempted to think wealth grants immunity from consequences, there's a courtroom somewhere waiting to teach you otherwise.